This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White, your host for Keeping It Real on Purpose. This is going to be a panel discussion today on some taboo subjects, especially about the systemic racism of social work. I know that we all need social work, but today I have an amazing guest. And we have some participants here as well, but we have an amazing guest that's going to talk about the systemic racism and mostly her thoughts on how that she maneuvers the system to be a great help to her community. Welcome, Tasha Wilson. Oh, and here comes Mary Hall. So welcome, Tasha. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you so much for creating this space. Looking forward to sharing my thoughts.
Great. I am so excited about that. And Mary Hall, who's another speaker, just came in. Mary, just say hello to Tasha, because you're going to be, answering questions with her.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, okay. So, this is a really taboo subject. So, I have my cards with the questions, and we know that we're going to go around and talk about the questions, but share, really share with the audience what's really going on out there, because you all are grassroots, you're on the ground, you're digging, you're getting all the information. So I really would like for, to be a substantive conversation. So I'm going to start with the first question. And it's all about social work. So I need you to introduce yourselves and what you do and what area of social work you're in. So each one of you, if you can start with Tasha, and then just share what part of social work you're in.
All right. So currently I am working at a university in the institutional equity department. I primarily focus on Title IX cases, hate, bias, discrimination every now and then, but my major focus is Title IX. So although I hold the space where I serve as a case manager, there are often times where I'm actually investigating the things that come to our office involving students, faculty, and staff. So I'm the only person with the mental health background in our office, and I am responsible for a population of over 3,000. So.
Oh, wow. So explain to us what Title IX is, because, again, we're not social workers, so I want to know what Title IX is.
So Title IX, sexual assault, sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, dating violence, all the things.
Yeah. Oh, 3,000. Oh. You got a heavy job.
This topic is very relevant right now.
You got a heavy job. Applaud you right now, my lady. I applaud you because that's a lot of work. Thank you for doing that. Mary Hall, introduce yourself and your area of expertise, please.
So I'm Mary Hall. My area of expertise is racism, trauma and recovery, inclusion and diversity, and drug and alcohol co-occurring disorders. I currently work at a college and university, and I am the focus counselor for those who are Black and Brown and suffering from any of those areas that I just named.
Ooh, that's heavy too. That's really heavy. So thank you again, my ladies. Beautiful jobs that you're doing. Thank you for doing what you do. So with the first question, what does a Black social worker impact? How does being a Black social worker impact your personal life, the pros and the cons? We'll start with Mary first.
So pros and cons, we have to be very self-aware of who we are. We have to constantly be checking ourselves, assessing ourselves, talking and relating to our colleagues who understand what we're going through. Because when we're treating other people, we could cause them to either grow or fail. And when we are in charge of empowering and healing,
Mhm.
we constantly have to check ourselves and make sure that we are doing the right thing, that we are actually getting help and talking to our colleagues and not carrying all this home, because that can always impact what we say, what we do, and how we think about things. So we could cause a person to grow, and we can cause a person to practically die if we don't watch ourselves and be careful. And a lot of times when we see something happen, we relate to us, like this could be us, or this is one of us, or that story we've heard before.
Okay.
So we have to be very, very careful to separate that and know how to separate it, know when we have to step away, because we're in the eye of the storm too. We're not just out there looking in. We've been in the eye of the storm, and we're standing in the eye of the storm. So we have to be careful what we do at all times. And it is very, very difficult, because sometimes we can find ourselves thinking about us and relating, and that sometimes gets a little bit messy.
So you said that, let me just say, you said that you can talk to your coworkers. Is that
Yes.
always an option if there's so little social workers who are of color or Black?
It's very important to make sure that you seek out those who are similar to yourselves, who are Black, because and stay connected. We're so far and few in between, especially on Long Island. On Long Island, Suffolk County, it's very far and few in between, because most social workers who are Black like to migrate toward the city where there's more Black social workers, there's more support, there's more, camaraderie. So, being on this side of the island, I work in Suffolk County, there's very few. So when you find someone who's a Black social worker, you connect and you stay connected. It's not always an option in your workplace, but it's an option in your profession.
Oh, I see. Okay. I know for me, I was told when training and counseling and everything, they said always you have to have a therapist. And I've learned that it really is necessary, because being a survivor myself, I get triggered. So I know that when I'm triggered by my clients, I have a safe place to go to kind of relieve that trigger. That's really important. Okay, great. Tasha, how does it feel to be a woman of color working in a predominantly white profession?
This is a challenge. For me, it goes back to what Mary said, that self-awareness, but then also that personal accountability, right? A lot of times, because even the university I work for is predominantly white. So a lot of times, depending on what their need is of me, they view me as the token Black woman, or they're viewing me as,
let's get real with that. Yes, that's right.
or oh, this is the social worker. And so a lot of times they will subconsciously place an oppressed mindset on me, because I am the Black woman who just happens to be the social worker in our office. And so it's often either minimized or celebrated when it's convenient. And so that self-awareness to not compartmentalize myself is very important. Like, who I am, the full picture is what you're going to get. Like, don't separate my identity, for your benefit. And so that's where also that personal accountability is, because I have a lot of people that I work with who are open and candid with saying they come from homogenistic backgrounds. So basically, they don't want to deal with someone who doesn't look like them, right? Or they would use words to say we're difficult or we're aggressive. And so then they try to push those people on me, right? And so it's really that balance. And so for me, it's reinforcing boundaries within the workspace, and then within the profession, to say, you know what, I earned my seat here just like you did. And it wasn't the race card that got me here. It was my expertise and my skills. So kind of sending a reminder, that I had to work hard to get where I am, just like you did. So and when you said, about the therapist, that's important. That's what helps me to stay sane, honestly, when dealing with that every day, and making sure that I'm not inherently taking on the vicarious trauma, because the work that
Right.
I'm doing right now is also my lived experience. And so a lot of times that's
Right.
where that
Gotcha.
oppression mindset comes in from my colleagues, where it's kind of like, well, you know how this feels because you've lived through it. And I'm like, but we should all
Right.
know how to connect with people, whether it's a lived experience or not.
Okay. Do you often forget that you're a leader at some point? Because you know
Yes.
you guys are leaders, right? Both of you. You know you're leaders. Do you often forget that you're a leader?
Hmm. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think it's because in my workspace, they don't see the value in my role until it's a crisis, and then that's when they're like, oh
I
wait, you're
see.
equipped, you can
I see.
handle it as the leader, you can be in the
Yeah.
forefront. But when it comes to other
Right.
things, it's kind of like, no, we need you to take the back seat. But it's like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
And
we're
do
there
you
to
find you're
lead.
taking the back seat? Is it solving a problem? When you take in the back seat, they don't want you to solve the problem because they know have the answer. Why do they want you to take the back seat?
Because they don't want the attention that comes with it, because I know how to solve the problem. So the
Ah,
hierarchy,
that's good. That's good.
the
That's good.
hierarchy is because they're like C-level, right? In my office, who I report to
Right.
is like a VP. So
Right.
they're like, the attention needs to be on me. The focus needs to be on me, not the social
Right.
worker. But it's like, I'm the one
Right.
that, as I consider, the heartbeat of our office, because if I'm not there, they don't
Yeah.
know how to function.
Yeah. 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 Do you get when you're off? Are you off?
Oh yes.
Okay.
And that is something that I've learned how to do. Initially, because they wrestle with
Okay.
boundaries in my space, and I'm like, I'm honoring my leave. And at the
Yeah.
previous institution, because I didn't know how to turn myself off, to be quite honest, it landed me on bed rest, where I had no choice but to take. Mhm.
Ah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that whole, superwoman overworking and undercompensated was a no longer a thing for me. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, you know what? I
Yeah.
have leave like
That's in the
everybody else.
garbage. That's in the
Yep.
garbage.
You're gonna reclaim my time and you're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
respect it.
Mary, what do you do about this? Yeah. Mary, so how do you deal with, boundaries in your position you're in?
Boundaries is definitely an issue. If you don't make firm boundaries, I keep firm boundaries. If I'm off, I'm off. If I'm on break, I'm on break. I don't answer. I don't say I'm going to check it. I don't even have the work email on my personal phone. There's no way, no how. If I'm out sick, I'm
Yeah.
out sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yes.
then there's
I should say
also
the same thing.
yeah, and there's also the thing of knowing your worth. Knowing your worth, knowing your skill, recognizing who you are and who you will always be.
Yeah.
Never losing yourself in an institution. I feel that many times I am the token. I am the only one in the whole entire psychological building. And I service all the Black and brown students. Every time there's a crisis with one, it's Mary, Mary, Mary. We all have the same role. We all have the same degree. We have the same license. Whether you have LMSW or LCSW, we can do the same thing. So why can't they service our people? Why do they
Right.
need to make a specialty to service our people? We all
Right.
speak English.
That's my question.
Why does it have to be? Why does it have to be a specialty? I don't like the fact that at times I feel like they're exploiting us through those specialized focuses. It's a way of making you feel important, but also hiding behind the guise of, I'm going to give you a special title. We're going to write this grant. We're going to put you on forefront because we don't want to be bothered with none of you.
There you go.
And we don't want to be bothered with none of you. We don't want to have to deal with this. We don't want to have to change out of our comfort zone. We're no longer, we don't want to change. We don't want to be accepted. We want to put one of y'all up front and we want you to do it. But at the end of the day, they're the ones who's getting all the pat on the back for having a more increased flow of Black and brown students, coming for services. They're the ones who get all of the hurrahs, but it's really us who are in the background doing the job and pulling them in. So a lot of time I feel exploited. And it's one of the reasons why I'm always in question of, should I stay in this institution or should I stay in my private practice and do a different type of service? You're always on, it's always in the back of your head, and you're always careful. Be like, no, I'm not doing that. You can do that. Let somebody else do it. And it's not that I'm
And I
saying
think
no
that
to help
comes
it.
from, I think that comes from the tokenism. I think that
Absolutely.
comes from that, and not
Absolutely.
being exploited. And you like, okay, because I get a lot of clients who are, they're great at what they do at their job. But
Absolutely.
I always tell them, when you are doing it so good, you can do it with your eyes closed, it's time to go. It's time to do your thing,
And
because you're doing it with your eyes closed, and you're literally being there. You know, I found, and I'm not a social worker, and this is a social worker thing. I found in my career that they use you for what you know, and they get to a point where they use you up, and then think, okay, I've got enough of that. Let me go to someone else, and they'll get someone to replace you before you know it. How do you deal with supervision like that? How do you deal with that? Like, I know it may not be right now, but in the past, how do you deal with microaggressions from your supervisor?
I call them on it. I know my worth. At the end of the day, my license, my insurance on my profession, my skill, that's all mine. I didn't get my NPI number under them. I got it under my name. So at the end of the day, it's all mine. If I have to tell you and check you, because see, if I let you walk on me, you're going to walk on my clients. It's going to be passed down. I'm the gatekeeper. I'm the gatekeeper. You know, I'm a keeper of the gate that's called your mental health. You know, if I allow them to talk to me that way, they're going to treat everybody like me who comes to that door that way. And I'm not gonna. You can tell me to leave, that's fine. You know, I'll take everything that I bought with me, but I will check you, because I will let you know that at the end of the day, everything I bought here is mine, and it can go with me. You can't take that from me.
That's good. Tasha, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm very direct. So I'm known as the sharpshooter in our office. Like, I'll just say what I feel and hold no cards. But one thing that I do in any space that I'm in, I don't get too comfortable. So like, if you look at my office, you wouldn't even know that I exist in there, because I treat every day as if, hey, things could change, you know, and they could change when I want them to change.
Very true. Very true.
So, you know,
that is true. I like the concept. I do.
Yeah, like, you know, it is what it is. And I feel like this, if I can't advocate for myself, then I'm not advocating for my clients, right? And so I have to be assertive at all times. I have to call them on their stuff at all times without regrets, because at the end of the day, like Mary said, you are the gatekeeper. And whether they want to acknowledge it or not, from an institutional level, they know what it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course they do. I want to say that social workers, I want anyone that's a gatekeeper is really pioneering. And that's how I look at it. When you're in an institution where there's systemic racism and you have to have all your resilience, you have to have all your power and all your might to fight to change that dynamic, pioneer. You're like Rosa Parks, you're like Moses, you know, you're doing things, and we don't think of ourselves as those type of pioneers. You know, we're doing it. Yeah, no. You celebrate that you're doing it, you know, and that's what I think about social work. When I meet someone Black or of color, I'm like, rah, rah, because I know about the system. And racism is really so, it was built on racism. So it's not going to change. You know, it really isn't. You're the one who's going to have to be the gatekeeper to make sure your gate gets everybody through. You know, everybody through that you need to work with. So I applaud you women very much so. I wish I had a male social worker on here. That'd be like ideal. Soon. Soon. So the next question we have for you both is what efforts have been made, if any, by senior leadership to understand what Black mental health professionals experience? at your place of employment or your space that you're in? Either you take it. I see everybody looking. Anyone can take it.
Efforts.
So go ahead, you got this one.
They're non-existent. I mean, in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yep. And it's sad because, again, they're looking at us for face card value, right? And it's kind of like,
Oh, I like that word, face card.
you know, it's just kind of like we're supposed to take it because historically that's just how it's been, right? Nope, you're good. It's what do you mean that you're feeling burnt out? What do you mean that you're feeling overwhelmed? That's not supposed to be in your vocabulary as a Black woman, you know? What do you mean that you're tired? What do you mean that you're overextending yourself and your time and all of that? You know, that's not a thing. You know, that's how they feel. Like, for example, this is our month and it wasn't even celebrated. It wasn't even acknowledged.
I think there's so much space that they want to feel not guilty, but they don't want to learn the culture or learn about us, of us. So I think that it's a lot of that that goes on. Yeah. Mary, what do you think?
Why should they? Why should they learn about us? You know, if they learn about us, then they have to accept what has been done to us and what is being done to us. They have to accept the responsibility. They have to take responsibility and they have to make change. But if I'm comfortable in my cocoon, I'm not going to step out. I'm not going to step out and learn about you. I don't even get asked much about how I'm doing at my job. They avoid me. They move me from the front of the building to the back of the building in the corner. Gave me a big office under the guys that, you know, we're going to give you a bigger office. No, y'all wanted to move me away from y'all. That's what y'all wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, so were we celebrated? We were celebrated as social workers, but that was pizza, you know, and they didn't even, you know, and I'm like, okay, yeah. So, you know, pizza, you know, so I'm like, okay, I can buy my own pizza. You know, I can buy my own pizza.
Right.
In my university, it's under the guise of the DEI, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department. But it has its limits. It has its limits of what they can do, because it's just like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter became Blue Lives Matter becomes All Lives Matter, became LGBTQ Lives Matter. So everything that includes us gets evolved to something else. And then they put it under the umbrella of, oh, we doing it because, no, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Count me in when it has to do with us. You know, don't say you're going to celebrate me, but then put me in the group with everyone else. Like, I'm going to feel okay about that because we're unique. You know, our culture is unique. You know, we're different. We've always been treated different. So why can't we be celebrated different?
Right.
Why can't we be taken care of different? They don't ask.
What does this do to your mental, though? All of this, it's great that we're talking about it, but let's get to the real crux of it, because I've experienced it in my career, and I literally was going to the doctor. I was in depression, and I was a mess. I was a mess. What does it do to you as a person to know that the system failed some people?
It makes you depressed. It makes you obese. It'll make you sick. It'll make you high blood pressure. Social work, not just Black social workers, but social work is top 5 of the most depressing and mentally strenuous jobs. So being Black social worker is even worse, because you're fighting an institution that is not created for you and your people. You're part of the crime. You're basically part of the crime trying to fight the inside, you know, from the inside out. And it will wear you down if you let it. Time and time again, I've been sick. You know, I've been home flat on my bed and like, I can't move. And then I'm like, what am I doing? You know, no. We're going to get up. We're going to dust it off. We're going to get it together. We're going to go for a walk and work on yourself. We have to constantly work on who we are, assess who we are. If a friend says, you know what, you looking big today, you got to take note. Don't get offended.
Right.
you know, because you got to accept that help. You got to accept it when it's getting too much and know when to
Mhm.
stop. And also
Mhm.
not be guilty when you're ready to step out and
Right.
say, you know what, I'm not going to do this job no more, because this job, we have a job to do as social
Mhm.
workers. But when we get to the point that we have to have somebody else come in and take them to a higher level, we have to know when to step out and save ourselves.
Yeah. Right.
Because
What do you think,
there's no
Tasha?
use in me having all this and I'm
Right.
mental.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And that's
What do you
actually
think, Tasha?
the point of where I am right now. I'm at that crossroad, like it's time for something else. I gotta take a pivot somewhere because
Not a pivot, a whole shift, girl, a whole shift.
right, a whole shift, you know, and it's like yeah, constantly being sick, constantly being worn down, not having energy for the other things that are important to me and prioritizing those things. And so it was just a lot. And I think for me, honestly, what really did it for me is when I had got COVID, and the fact
Mhm.
that the space that I'm in, they thought I was lying. They thought I was lying, y'all.
Girl, I know that's the truth. Girl, I know it's the truth.
They thought I was lying. And I'm like, who's gonna lie about? And it was just because they didn't know how to function without me. They're not gonna tell me that
Yep.
I'm an asset, but
Yep.
they over here scrambling, right? And so I
Right.
was like, okay, the fact that my health didn't matter to you all lets me know that me as a person, me in this profession, that I don't matter to you all, you know. And so
Mhm.
it really does put a damper on your mental health. It really
Yeah.
makes you become resentful to the profession if
Sure.
you allow it to, right? And
Okay.
so for
Absolutely.
me, it got to the part where I've reached the cap of the ceiling and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not happy anymore. I don't want to
Yeah.
deal with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. It
It's
gets like
time to do
that. Yeah.
something else. And, you know, and realizing that I could still be there for my people, but just in a new
Yep.
capacity, and
New
know that it's
capacity.
okay
Yeah.
because the well has ran out here in this role,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Tasha, what age did you start social work?
oh, I want
In
to
your
say,
20s? In your 20s?
yeah. So it's been
Mhm.
over like 14 years. Um,
Mary, what age did you start social work? In your 20s?
26.
Okay. Do you think it's because, you know, medically, people who are in their 20s are still developing brain power? You know, is that because I see when I was working with an agency, I saw the young, they would get young people right out of school, right out of college, right? Do you think because a lot of them were on medication? And I was like, wait, what is going on here? I thought you were supposed to be helping with the medication. Do you think that's too soon, possibly, to be getting into a field that's working with someone else that has trauma or issues like that in your own experience, Tasha?
yes. So as soon as we got out, like that was the agenda through our whole program. They were pushing us to, you know, like other people wanted to be more on a macro level, and they were like, no,
Right.
no, no, you know,
Yeah.
be a therapist, be a clinician, deal with people like, and they were really pushing through the following categories: domestic
Mhm.
violence or drugs and addiction. That was
Yeah.
the agenda.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot of people that completed the program with me are no longer in the field at all.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like a few of us that are left, the few of us that are the no limit soldiers, but everybody else was like, I can't do this. They went towards education, they went towards
Yeah.
federal government. They were just like, I had
Mhm.
enough. And
Yeah.
you know, when you really push that on early, and or here's another thing in our program, they're telling people it's okay to accept the bare minimum when it comes to the salary. Oh yes. I'm like, no, we're not
First
grabbing
of all, you can't
crumbs.
even pay your past tuition, right? Or whatever. You can't pay your student loans with bare
Mm-hmm.
minimum.
Right. I'm telling you. And they thought, so you come in already with the limited mindset of these people
Mhm.
whose minds are so easily shaped, right? Because in your early 20s, and they're like, yeah, it's okay, grab the crumbs, that's enough. No, to the point that people don't even know how to table and do a counter offer. And it's sad. And I'm like, we just
Oh
weren't
my
ready. And
goodness.
then if you really want us to be more prepared, be intentional with where you place us for our field practicum.
Gotcha. Oh, that's good. That's really good. All right, Tasha. You done told it all, but Mary, I'm sure Mary got a whole mouthful right now. Tell it, Mary.
Um, I totally agree. I totally agree. They pulled out all stops when it came to making sure that we understood that we was going to be underpaid. They even pulled out the student forgiveness loan.
Kidding me?
And then
Really?
they had tricks with the student forgiveness loan. If you wanted your loan to be forgiven, you had to work 10 years and you had to take whatever in a
Like it was
nonprofit. And
nothing,
nonprofit
like it
does
was
not
10
pay.
months.
Right. And nonprofit does not pay. And then they want you to be
No.
overtime. Then they want you to be on call. Then they want all these extra things. So you end up getting a job that doesn't even equal what you owe in student loans. And then you got most social workers get burned out. They got 2 or 3 jobs. I'm guilty. You know, you got 2 or 3 jobs. You always have to have a side job. You gotta have one to pay your bills and the other one to catch your bills. You know,
Oh my
you'll never have a
goodness.
savings.
What a
When
mercy.
you're walking out at 32,000. When you're in residential program, 38,000 is your cap. When you're in the when you're in the schools, 40 is your cap. Then when you're in hospitals, 55 is your cap. When you're in outpatient, your cap is 50. You know, I know I've been there, all that. I done made a full circle. My only last place to work was a university. You know, and then they want to offer you, if you're LMSW, they want to offer you like $30 an hour to do counseling services and then have you pay fees. So, you know, it's like, you know, you are always, to be a Black social worker is always to understand being impoverished, being always oppressed. And you're oppressed because you did all this education, all this training to help treat people who are oppressed, but you yourself are oppressed institutionally and financially. There's an institutional, there's an emotional depression that you go through as a social worker. And people don't understand that. Like, and they'll come in and they're asking you to help them and they're cursing you out and they're doing this. And then you have the clients doing it. And then you have your overhead doing it. Then you have the other people coming to you saying you're not doing your job. And you're like, wait a minute, do you understand my job? Do you understand what my paycheck look like for
Not
my
one
job?
that's doing it right. No, they don't understand that. So ladies, so let's say you all take a pivot, okay? You take a pivot. I'm gonna give you a little pivot, not the shift. What's the solution for our people to get the same services under your tutelage, under your own, let's say, with your name flagging out on your property, you know, your own business? How do you get there? Because that may be the answer to all this kind of systemic racism. How do we get there? Okay. Tasha, you want to take it? Look at Tasha.
Tasha, you want to go first, or you want me to catch this one first?
Go ahead.
First of all, also my other realm, what you guys don't know, is I do a professorship as well. So what I can say is we are not educated as a people to band together to fight the institution. The institution is made not for us, it's made against us. It's just like being a diabetic crisis, pale skin, bluing, sweating. When did you ever see me get pale? Can you get pale? My chocolate don't go pale. So you can't tell if I'm in a crisis because it wasn't made for me. You can't tell it wasn't made for me. So the institution was not made for us. It was made against us. But throughout history, as Black people, we were never taught. We was always ripped apart, sold, put here, thrown there. So we don't know to band together and make institutions of our own and keep it and all shine together.
Yes,
if we got together and made an institution, if we got together and said, listen, we're going to get together and have an all-Black institution. We're going to have an all-Black outpatient clinic. Just like the Jewish have their clinic, just like the Hispanic societies have their clinic, just like the African society, they have their clinic. We Black Americans need our own clinic.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
We need our own institution for ourselves.
In every state.
Yes, for us, by us, FUBU, you know, for us, by us.
Yes.
You know, because you know what I'm saying? Because we don't have to question about, you know, how we treating this. We don't have to say this person coming in being loud as an angry Black woman. No, she's one of 12. She got to talk loud so she can be heard. What are you talking about? You know, so if we were, that's one of my goals, is to create one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
because that's
And
what we need.
it starts with you guys. It starts with
And
Yes.
you
spread it
all
like the
stepping out
pandemic.
and doing what you're supposed to do.
That's right. And let it spread like the pandemic. Because we have to inform ourselves. We trust each other. When we walk into a room, we look to see where the next Black person is.
Always.
And are they eating?
All the time. All the time. Even at 7-Eleven, you be looking.
That's right. And are they
All
eating? If
the
they're
time,
eating, the food
yes.
is safe. You know, you're looking around to see where where someone like you is. That's how you can tell if you're
Camaraderie.
welcome. And if we don't start, like we got Black churches, yeah, okay, but we need other things.
Yes.
Right.
Our Head Starts to leave our neighborhoods. We've allowed banks. I live in a neighborhood. Horn don't have a bank. We have to go outside to a bank. We got to go outside to medical. We have to go outside to even a Head Start. Our institution is not even a neighborhood. We got to bring all that back. We got to recreate Black Wall Street, starting small with just our mental and physical health, because we're unhealthy.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna stop talking.
Tasha, I know you got some.
You know, that's why I was like, Mary said it very well, because I was like, oof, like I love our people, but then I'm also tired of our people, because a lot of us are so comfortable with being divided. It just doesn't make sense, right? We have so many gems. If we were to band together, like we would be a force. And, you know, there's always this competition.
Or churches.
Right. You know, it's always so much competition. I'm like, why? Because we all are going after the same goal. Why not work collectively? Right. Because we always quick to talk about collaboration and things like that, but then there's no action or effort to it. And so I think about it like, if we all see the same problem, we are the solution, right? Because it's like one person here advocating, one person there advocating. Let's just come together. And there is no competition, because when one of us win, we all win. That is the goal. And so it's like, you know, we sit up there the same way okay, you cool, you all right, because then you got a few that look like us, but they just so far removed, and you're kind of like, do you know who you see in the mirror? You know, one of those things, like you're so tired of fighting that you don't even, you know, want to challenge the status quo, when it's like, no, we don't need you. We need the people that that are on board, that really want to see the change. And so it's just so difficult, because there's so much energy people put in with getting these LLCs at the start of the pandemic. Where is that energy to really have sustainable change, right? Because a lot of people just thought it was the easy way out, and then didn't realize all these taxes you got to pay every year once you get the LLC. You know, they just let it fizzle out. And it's like, it's great to have an idea, but make sure that the idea is innovative change,
sustainable.
right? You know, and it's like, you can't just have something so minor without impacting the major. And so I think that's the part that we really have to get into, that educational piece. Why is this a problem? Why does it bother us? How can we have a tangible solution to change this? Because after a while, if it's going to be the same that it's always been, then unfortunately it's going to be less of us in this profession, because we're all burnt out, tapped out, overwhelmed, and don't want nothing to do with it.
Girl, I think sometimes they plan it that way. Okay. I think they plan it that way. I think it's a notion that it's in their little notes that they have. Well, if we have this many, we'll get the funding from here, but then eventually they're going to get worn out, and then we'll have all the funding for this. And I think it's all about the play of the funding. I really do. And when you talk about, both of you talking about generational things, that's all I teach is about generational traumas. Generationally, and I say it's the house nigga versus the nigga in the field. That's all it is. That's all it is. And when I see people act like that, oh, that's a house one. Oh, that's a field one. You know, it's no camaraderie. When you meet people who you have a camaraderie with, you know you've been in the field with them, right? The ones in the house are very far and very few, that they'll talk to you like they're not the same color as you. They'll talk to you like that. So what I see in the both of you is like I don't know if it's a camaraderie or not, but it could be a collective thought. And you guys just putting it out in the universe is monumental. But I think you both are ready to pivot. And I don't think it's a pivot. I think it's a whole shift. I think it's a whole shift. And shifting just to make it, I know there's a bunch of things that you guys got to do, think about this. As an entrepreneur, I know you need your own insurance. You need certifications. You got them. So you're sitting there as a whole business in somebody else's business. Think about that. Your whole business inside of somebody else's business. So it's very, it's encouraging to me to see young women, young and Black women, really wanting to change the system. But I tell everybody, you can't change a lie. There's nothing you can do with that. You can't change a lie. The system lied to us. It was set up for another reason, and that's not for us. So you can't change that. All you can do is now, I'm going to do something to micromanage myself so I can be, the solution in whatever area you're in. Now, I know we're going to wrap it up, but I want both of you to share where you are in case you guys pivot so that my audience can find you and reach out for your services, what you got on the horizon, what your thoughts are, whatever it is, share it with the audience so that, and your area, especially, so that they know, okay, I know there's a social worker over here that can give them that support. So, share that with them. You can start, Mary, you can start.
Okay. So, my area that I'm in Quorum, and I am already pivoting. I already started MRH counseling. So I am MRH counseling. At one time Cornerstone, but when my clients do look for me, they will find me because they will forward. My Google Voice number is 475-422-5649 or mrhcounseling@gmail.com. I do private counseling, and I also do mobile. So there are times where I meet the person where they're at. A lot of people in our culture have a taboo about going into an institution. So, hey, if you want to meet me at Applebee's or we're going to go to the park and sit down and talk, or I'm going to your house and sit on your porch and we're going to talk, that's what I do. And I have already pivoted out of my job. I'm just waiting the time up.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And what about insurance? Like if I have insurance, I want to come see you, how does that work?
So I do take Fidelis, I take Aetna, I take Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Oxford, United Health, Oscar Care. So okay. I'm on a few panels. I'm on a few panels. So I'm a little bit further than most people know.
That's wonderful. That's good. Tasha.
So I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, and I am in the early stages of pivoting. But right now, what I'm working on, coming out in May, I'm going to have a call for a publication actually tailored to Black women social workers in unique spaces. So that requires, higher education and other spaces that most people wouldn't recognize us in. And it's actually amplifying our voices. So Mary, I'll be reaching out to you to submit like a chapter to really amplify our voices of, because it's needed, right? To like also let people know like our humanity, but then also serve as a source of empowerment and letting them know that it's okay if this is no longer for you and you've reached that glass ceiling and you just want to move on. So that's what I'm working on. I'm more on the scholarly aspect of that, because outside of this, I am an author. I have 4 books. One is on the campus of Johnson C. Smith University for the social work department. So I'm more kind of tailoring to that. And I also do group coaching. So ways for people to contact me, my email is lifewithtashaw@gmail.com. And then my website is www.lifewithtashaw.com.
Wonderful. So we should be looking at, me and my audience should be seeing you guys around somewhere. We should be able to Google you. Hey, pop it right on up. So,
Yes.
you know,
I am a Google
last and
search.
final things before we ask if there's any questions in the audience. What could you tell other social workers? Tasha, start with you first. What could you tell other social workers that have reached the glass ceiling and what they should do? Or just give some words of encouragement.
Yeah, trust your instinct. If you feel like where you are is limiting who you are, then it's time to make that shift. And it's okay to be open and willing to shift. A lot of times we get comfortable and complacent based on what we've been taught. So unlearn that and figure out what is mutually beneficial for you. Yes, we are called to serve everybody else, but you can't forget yourself in that process either. If you're no good, then the clients you're serving are no good.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Tasha. Thank you so much. Mary.
I would say remember yourself. Always remember yourself and remember what you're worth. And if you feel or something is giving you a sign that it's time to go, don't feel guilty that you're losing or you're leaving those clients or that agency, because you're leaving for a better cause. You can do better and more good somewhere else when you're in a better mental, spiritual, physical place than if you sit there and just lose yourself. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to think about you. If you're in a hospital and your time runs out, they're going to replace you. You are replaceable. So it's always, putting yourself first and putting your goals first, because we get burnt out quickly and we forget what we're in here for. We forget what our cause was, what our process was. So yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, we thank you both for being here today. This has been a great conversation, great things that we've learned along the way. And I'm excited to hear about this group that Tasha has. And I hope that you all connect with each other, because the more support each of us have as women. And I always tell everybody when I'm telling them information, giving them information, they were like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was like, whoa, what good is it that I'm going to die and have all this information and not help a soul? So that's what we're here. We're here to relate, and get into relationships and relate. So I'm glad that you all were here. Thank you so much. And now we'll just leave a little space if there's someone wants to ask a question. They're open to ask questions. I see Dorothy's on and a couple more. So Dorothy, would you like to ask a question to any of the panelists? So you're on mute.
That's it.
Dorothy, you're on mute. Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Let me see. See, what can I ask the ladies? Like if someone wanted to, what nugget would you give if someone was to pursue a career in being a social worker? What's a good nugget? Like, how would you go about it?
I would say do your research. The best tool for anything is knowledge. Knowledge is power. So do your research to really look at the profession as a whole, and how it would be beneficial for you as a Black woman. Look at the schools to see what school you feel like would be most supportive in who you are and not wanting you to compromise that. Because it does matter which institution that you do go to when it comes to the coursework and the foundational work and things like that. But really do your research to see if it's something that you want in the moment or if it's something that you want long term.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mary, is that good?
Yep. Yes, I totally agree with Tasha. In addition, always know that this profession is always changing. You might start off in one place and go through many different facets when it comes to social work until you find where you belong. And when you find where you belong, you'll know. Okay. You'll know.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Okay. Dorothy, I'm going to, if you would put your email in the chat if you want, and want one of the ladies to give you, contact them or stay in touch with them on any decision that you want to make. That would be beautiful. I'm sure they're open to help you. I'm not a social worker. I'm a host. put it in. It's her email. Dorothy Wilson's email is in the chat. Shoot her a note. Shoot her a note, everyone. And keep her on task with Tasha with your group. Keep her on task with that. And Mary, the same thing. Because it is a big decision. You want to talk to someone that really knows.
Right.
And I knew I wasn't a social worker because I talked too much junk.
Oh boy.
I talk too much junk, so I would be like, "Hurry up, do what you got to do." So I know my plate. So thankfully, we have beautiful women like this and other Black women that really are doing a wonderful job everywhere. And I'm so glad there's two different areas. I always wanted to go to Baltimore, Maryland, and kind of figure out what's going on down there. I haven't been there yet, and I often pass it. And it's like so easy to pass. But I will be down there soon. But let's all keep in touch, everyone, and support the cause. And I can't wait to see the pivots and the what do you call it? Not the pivots. What we call it? The one you was gonna do, Tasha. Whatever you're gonna do. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see any of the work. And Dorothy, if you're thinking about this, please keep in touch with these two ladies, all right? Where are you from, Dorothy? Where are you from?
I'm from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, on the
Of
other
what?
side of the Bay Bridge.
Oh, well, there you go over there,
Mhm.
Tasha, right here. There you go. You can keep in touch with both of them via Zoom or email, but Tasha's
Yes.
right there, right
Yes.
there.
Okay.
You could travel a little bit. Y'all can travel to media and learn about what you really, would like to do and how you want to do it. Because listen, everybody can preach. It don't take us being on the podium to do it. Okay?
Right.
Okay. Instead, we can do it anywhere we want, So,
Mhm.
think about that for yourself. All right.
Okay. I will.
Well, ladies, I really appreciate you all being here, and I hope to see you all again. But right now, this is the end of our show. Thank you so much for being here, and we're going to say goodbye for now, everyone.